Wow, that's incredibly cool, and thank you for all those nice words. The music's one of my favorite, the Rolling Stones, so I'm happy with that too. So, yeah. So let me start by just saying I really am honored to receive this tonight. So many friends and great entrepreneurs that I know have come before me for this award, and I'm just really pleased to be part of the club. One of them said tonight, after we finish, I go somewhere and there's a tattoo, but we'll wait and see if that's true. Also, it was great tonight to share the stage with Ed Starus. Ed's a good friend, and he's also been a help to London Bay. He's brought his expertise into some of our team, and he's spoken about customer service and total quality and helped London Bay think about that. So thanks, Ed, and great to share the stage with you. And I think for the rest of what I'm going to talk about this evening, I really want to address it to the young people in the evening, in the room, and talk a little bit about my early career, but also my thoughts on what it takes to possibly succeed today in business. So let's start, with my first job. So my first job was when I was 16, and I went to work on a construction site, no surprise. You heard that my father was also in the construction business, so I started off as a day laborer, right? But being the son of the boss, maybe not the best thing to do, because they really gave me all the real bum jobs, the really bad jobs, right? And the only comments I got from my fellow workers was, slow down, you're making us look bad, this is not good. So the other thing, though, that was rather interesting was I learned a whole new language, and who thought that working on a construction site, you'd actually learn a new language? Now, in England, we come from a place called Birmingham. And in Birmingham, they speak rather strange like this all the time, and it's quite hard to understand them anyway. But when I was working with fellow laborers on the site, they made a whole new language, and it was just brilliant. They managed to take every word that was more than 2 syllables and put a word right in the middle. And it was a very, very rude word. So I won't give you the word, but let me give you an example. So football became foot beep ball. And they did whole sentences like this. The whole conversation was split with these strange words, and it took me a while to get it. It's just amazing that they could dedicate all this time to this whole new language. Probably German and French would have been far more useful, but they didn't do it. My second job was I worked for as a site engineer for one of England's largest construction companies. And I learned quite a lot from that. I was doing engineering at university, so to pick up some of those skills and train in what I was doing was very interesting. But I also learned something else. First of all, I learned, probably long term, I don't want to go through construction site in England. It was cold, it was wet, you had to get up really early. But the advantage of that was when I reached the construction site sometimes, the guys, the masons, it was at the masonry stage, and we were doing slabs and block work, and those guys really hadn't had any breakfast. So I learned a new skill there too, right? They made a little fire, or they had a little brazier, and they managed to cook bacon and eggs on a shovel. I kid you not. They used to get a shovel, and they got a little wire brush, and they cleaned the shovel, and they pour a little bit of oil on it, and over the fire here, they're cooking their bacon and eggs, and threw it in between some bread and butter, and noshed down on this thing. And it was amazing. It really was pretty good. And unfortunately, I really haven't used that skill set. I realized in Irma I could have cooked breakfast for the whole family, but I didn't, but there you go. Anyway, from there, I realized I really didn't want to go through the construction ranks. It's probably going to take me too long to reach higher management. Decided to go off and do an MBA. Thought it was the fastest route to management. And from pretty early on, probably from 18, 20 years old, I knew I wanted to be a CEO and run a business or own my own business. So my next thing is really for, again, the young people, the thoughts and recommendations on my views that might help you with success. And I've got 8 quick points, so I'll try and make it quick. 1 is learn to focus. 2nd, learn to communicate. 3rd, become competent in financial literacy. 4th, there's no substitute to hard work. 5, learn to negotiate. 6, make sure you challenge yourself. 7, find something you're really passionate about. And number 8, work hard and play hard. So let's talk about learn to focus. It's really important if you're doing an important piece of work to get away from distractions. And unfortunately, today, we probably have the most distractions that we have, and it's all electronic, right? This is a wonderful tool. But all you do is get notifications multiple times a minute during the day that distracts you from what you do. And then you can be by your computer and getting your emails distracting the heck out of you too. So to young people, the one thing I would say is you don't have to answer a text as soon as it comes in. You don't have to answer emails. If an email is half an hour after it comes in or 2 hours after it comes in, it's not going to change the world. Try to put this thing away. I think studies have shown that the average teenager spends 9 hours a day on this thing now. Now just imagine if they use that time to do something more useful. You know, half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the afternoon, half an hour in the evening. What a concept. You might gain 7.5 hours, dedicate to that to what you really want to achieve, and it could be absolutely remarkable. Adults spend 3 hours a day, so, you know, some of us are just as bad. But just remember, if you're going into an interview, and unless you're going to work for Facebook or a call center, telling them you spend 9 hours a day on this thing probably doesn't help you a whole lot. So again, I would say learn to focus, get away from the electronics. So watch this, kids. You can, all right? So next I would say learn to communicate. And again, by communication, I don't mean text. I don't mean Facebook. I mean, actually talk to people. Communication is between two people. It's verbal and it can be written. So work out how to communicate well. Reason discussion and reason argument really matters. Hopefully in a civil way. Unfortunately, there's a whole lot of uncivil discussion going on at the moment. And if you look to our political leaders, they're not a really good example for the youth of today. But good communication really matters. I don't know many successful businesses where the leaders can't communicate well. Also, written communication really matters. If you're going to succeed as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to be able to put a business plan together, write a good email, do a letter. All of that good stuff takes good written communication. Number 3, become competent in financial literacy. To be successful in any organization and to grow a company, you need to be able to follow the money. Now, for us old people, we had a very good film many years ago in Jerry Maguire with Cuba Gooding Jr. And he used to jump up and down and go, "Show me the money, show me the money." Now I'm going to tell you, do the same thing, but follow the money in an organization. Learn how to read a P&L, a profit and loss station. Learn how to understand a balance sheet. Understand cash flow. If you understand that, you have a chance of succeeding as an entrepreneur. Most businesses need investors. They need bankers, and they need good relationships with people. So having a good financial understanding will really help you in your future. Number 4, there's no substitute for hard work. When I started the business, yeah, I worked 6 and 7 days a week, and I went home late and in many 12-hour-plus days. But I think we also all know the research that it takes about 10,000 hours to become competent in any skill set. Whether you're an athlete or a musician or in business, it takes a long time. Now, 10,000 hours for the average person working is 5 years of work. So working really hard up front and getting some of that time behind you can certainly help you in your future and succeeding. As you heard, a really good friend of mine told me many years ago about the idea that if you're smarter than the average bear and work 95% harder than the people around you, you'll probably do extremely well. Oops. So next one, I'd say learn to negotiate. If you're going to run a business, you've got to be able to negotiate with people. And negotiation, it's an art, it's not a science. If you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to run a business or grow a business or be part of a business, you really do need to know this skill. And unfortunately, lots of schools don't teach negotiation. And if you are at university and you don't get a course, go and get one. There really are some great courses on negotiation. Negotiation is like a chess game. You've got to think several moves ahead. You've got to think about what the opposition is doing. And it really helps to stay calm, right? Getting agitated in negotiation generally doesn't work. I've been with 1 or 2 who are extremely good at this. They manage to get totally red-faced and angry and get really animated. And you can bully occasionally, but don't use that as a tactic. It's pretty horrible. Staying calm and collected is a much better way of doing business. And unless you run a monopoly, and very few of us do, you also need to learn how to get a win-win solution. You've got to work out what the other party wants, what you want, and try and find that compromise that works for both of you. Number 6, make sure you test yourself and challenge yourself. Early on in life, really try and challenge yourself and find something outside of your comfort zone that allows you to stretch. For me, it was Outward Bound. When I was 16, I did a 30-day Outward Bound course. I probably became as physically fit as I've ever been, pushed myself to the extreme, but really found out what I was capable of doing. And I'd really recommend all of you try and find something in your youth that really does stretch you. There'll be times in your business career where you really have to dig deep, and just knowing how far you can dig in order to be able to achieve things can really matter. Number 7, find something that you're really passionate about. Right? Life's too short. If you're going to work 50, 70 hours a day and 6 and 7 days a week, make sure you're passionate about it. And if you find yourself at a young age involved in something that you don't really like, get out of it, right? We're going to work for 40 years or something, and it's really important to find something that you're incredibly passionate about. If you're passionate about it, it's easy to work hard, it's easy to dedicate yourself to something, and the possibility of success goes up substantially. Number 8, work hard and play hard. You heard on the video that this is one of my philosophies, and I definitely work to live. I don't live to work. Life's a journey, and there's all sorts of things to experience, and make sure you get out and do those things. My team knows that I always turn around to people and say, take your vacations. You need to recharge your batteries. You need to refresh. But I also recommend to you at a young age to try and find that time that you get away from those things, those electronics, but also get away from work. And find that hour in the day that you do something special for yourself. Whether that is reading or working out or doing yoga, playing a musical instrument, it doesn't really matter, but find that time. I need my mark time every day. Mine's generally exercise. But again, that ability to get away from thinking about work and getting distractions from all the electronic stuff and messages is really important. So I would say the only thing that I've noticed in people is if they work 7 days a week, week in and week out, year in and year out, their productivity really starts to go down. So do find your own time. So my last comment is really go out and live life. Just remember, you're only here once. Life is not a rehearsal. So go out and have fun, and good luck to all of you. Thank you.